What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Arrival Entertainment. We're all pretty familiar with the movie Forrest Gump, right? It's one of Tom Hanks' best movies. It's one of the most iconic and quotable movies in the past 28 years since the film has been out. 28 years. Wow. Anyway, the film is an icon, basically, is what I'm saying. I don't really know anyone that just downright hates Forrest Gump. That being said, though, what if I told you that in the year 2022, there was a remake of Forrest Gump? What is the first thing that would come to your mind if you were told in any regards that there is a remake of Forrest Gump out there? Right, that's what I thought too. Well, that's the movie that I decided to see in theaters while I was on vacation, Laal Singh Chaddha. I hope that's how you say it correctly. And it is absolutely an official remake of Forrest Gump from India. A lot of people were not happy with this trailer when it was released, and I had some mixed feelings about it too, mainly because Forrest Gump is just one of my favorite movies of all time. Why would anyone decide to remake that movie? Then I thought to myself, well, remakes are nothing new. Remakes have been around forever, and they're not going to stop anytime soon. They're doing a reimagining of The Wizard of Oz, which, God, I am not looking forward to that movie. But I was still pretty curious about how another country was going to take an American classic and remake it to their culture. So I was interested in the movie, even though the trailer, I didn't know what to think of the trailer. Some of it worked, some of it didn't work for me. And let me just say this before continuing on, because I know a lot of people have been saying a lot of things about this movie, on both good and bad about it. This movie does not hold a candle to the original Forrest Gump in any way. If I had to pick between the two, I would easily pick the original Forrest Gump. But with that being said, I surprisingly liked this new version of Forrest Gump. I don't know if it's because it's telling the exact same story of Forrest Gump, and I know the story beat for beat, so I was able to know what was coming up. Normally that would bother me in a movie, but I'll get into that a little bit later. But I did leave the theater pretty entertained and happy with what they did for the most part, despite the fact that the movie is pretty much the same story as the original Forrest Gump. There's even same shots in this film, this new version, that are directly from Forrest Gump. And normally that would bother me. It bothered me with Disney's live action remakes. There's other remakes that have done that too. And normally that would just irritate me, because I'm just like, if you're gonna remake it, do your own thing. But with this version, for some reason, it came off more as homaging the original Forrest Gump than just completely ripping it off. This new version does do some things different to incorporate the story into this new culture, which I knew that was going to be the case from the beginning. But there were some other changes to the film, either character-wise or plot-wise, small things plot-wise. It wasn't anything big or major. That's I appreciated. And there's one change that I'm gonna mention a little bit later in the review because it's kind of spoiler heavy, so I'll save that towards the very end. But this isn't a complete shot-for-shot remake, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people thought was going to be by looking at the trailer. The trailer did show a lot of scenes from this movie that were taken from the original Forrest Gump. So I know some people were expecting a shot-for-shot remake, which it's not the case. There are, again, similar shots, exactly how it was in the original Forrest Gump, but like I said, it came off more homaging Forrest Gump than just completely ripping it off. So in a weird way, that gets a pass for me. And I like all the actors playing the new characters. I thought they did a pretty good job doing their own version of these characters while still feeling familiar, which is what a good remake should do. And something that I've heard some people mention, and I feel like I should mention in my video too, is that this new version is more tame content-wise compared to the original Forrest Gump. For example, Jenny, this new version of Jenny, she wasn't molested by her father, and she's not a drug addict like she was in the original, that hippie phase that she went through. There's nothing like that. The war scenes, while brutal, aren't as brutal as they were in the original, and Forrest's mom, for instance, doesn't sleep with his teacher to get him into school. So if you're hoping to see a more edgy version like the original did, you might be a little disappointed with that aspect. But for me, that's something that I didn't really focus on. In fact, I didn't even really notice it until the movie was over. But like I said, I feel like it's worth mentioning because other people have mentioned it, and I feel like it's going to be a point of contender for other people who haven't seen the film yet. Something that I didn't like in the movie, though, are a couple music choices. Now, the musical score is really good, but there's some songs in the film that didn't really work for me. I wouldn't say it felt out of place. Well, okay, it felt a little bit out of place, but there were just some songs that would play on through montages of, let's say, Forrest and Jenny interacting with each other, and it's all in the Indian language, but for some reason the subtitles they put subtitles of the lyrics of the song that was going on, and I was thinking to myself, I don't really need to see the lyrics to the song. I'm perfectly fine with watching this montage of Jenny and Forrest and just hearing this Indian song. You know, it was when I wasn't paying attention to the subtitles in that moment, the scene was actually not that bad, but the subtitles were a little distracting in that moment. And I'm sure that's another thing people are going to want to know, how is the subtitles in this? Because I know some foreign movies like this, when there's subtitles, it could be a little distracting for some. Let me just say this, I'm not a very fast reader. When I watch subtitled movies at home, sometimes I have to pause the movie because I missed a couple sentences. I had no problems following it in this film. So if you're a little concerned about that, it's not distracting at all. It's actually eased into the movie pretty well. So like I mentioned earlier, there are some changes to the film that this version did that I want to mention really quick because I actually really liked what they did, but it's a little bit spoiler heavy. It's nothing major or anything, but it's something that is going to be considered a spoiler if you haven't seen this version. So go ahead and skip to this time frame right here if you don't want to know the changes that I'm going to be talking about right now. So when it comes to the original Forrest Gump, we all know Lieutenant Dan's backstory. He had a family member who fought and died in every single American war, and he thought it was his destiny to fight and die in a war, which he didn't do because Forrest saved him. He didn't have his legs. He lost his legs in battle. And by the time he and Forrest became shrimping partners, he found meaning in life again. Well, in this new version, they play around with that a little bit. The backstory of a family member dying in every major war is actually Forrest's backstory. And when I saw that, I thought to myself, wait, why are they giving that backstory to Forrest? So I obviously waited for the war scene to come up, and when it did, it made more sense on why Forrest joined the army in this version, because he had family members that did. But then I thought to myself, well, okay, that answers a little bit better for this version why Forrest joined the army, but what about Lieutenant Dan? What about his character? What are they going to do with him? And then I noticed that in the war scenes, they didn't really focus all that much on Lieutenant Dan's character, which threw me off a little bit because at that point, it felt like he was just being there to be there, which is something that I don't like when remakes do. When remakes have an element that were there just to be there because they were there in the original. But then we get to the scene in Lieutenant Dan's apartment before they go to the New Year's Eve party. And then things made more sense to me. I'm gonna paraphrase the line, obviously, because I don't remember exactly what he said word for word, but basically, Lieutenant Dan's character is talking to Forrest in this scene, and he says something along the lines of, "You don't know who I am, do you? You saved my life, and I was trying to kill you." And I thought to myself, wait a minute. Is Lieutenant Dan in this version from the opposite side in the war scene? And sure enough, yes, that is exactly what they did. And I thought, oh, okay, so that explains why they didn't really focus on Lieutenant Dan's character when the army scene or the war scene was going on. Okay, so things started to make more sense when I saw that, and that's actually a change that I really, really like and appreciated. And he does find a new meaning on life, which I'm not going to get into that because I think that should be saved for when you do see the movie, if you want to see it. But it all worked out really well for that character, and that's a change that I absolutely loved. I love the fact that they played around with that a little bit. They took a chance with that because they easily could have just done the exact same thing over and over again, but it worked. It worked for me, and I'm glad they did that. So in the end, guys, I'm surprised to say that I saw a remake of Forrest Gump that I never thought I would ever see, and I surprisingly liked it. It seemed like a recipe for disaster, a remake of Forrest Gump, but I think they did a good job with it. The film does have its problems, yeah. You can easily say it's just a copy and paste ripoff of the original Forrest Gump, and if that is a big issue for you after you see the movie, then I can't really complain with you or argue with you on that. But again, for me, it came off more homaging Forrest Gump than actually ripping it off. There are enough different material in here to make it stand out a little bit more than from the original. And I'm surprised to say that I would absolutely recommend this movie, and if it's ever released on Blu-ray, I think it's an okay Blu-ray purchase. I actually do want to see this version again. It's going to be a nice companion piece to compare it to the original. You know, you have remakes that you want to compare it to the original to see what's improved upon, what's not improved on, same, different, yada yada, all that stuff. But this is a good one that I think is going to be a good comparison piece to the original Forrest Gump. So I'm surprised to say that, because, yeah, I didn't think a remake of Forrest Gump was going to be any good at all, but here I am. So that's my review, guys, and just like always, if you've seen the film, then let me know in the comment section what you thought about the movie. And just like always, guys, thank you again so much for watching, and thank you for 500 subscribers. I mentioned that in my community post, but I want to mention it on camera. I really appreciate all you guys and subscribing to my channel and liking my content and coming back for more. I really do appreciate it, and I can't thank you guys enough for it. I wish there was a bigger word than thank you, but there isn't. So I really do appreciate you guys, and thank you. And just in case you didn't see that community post that I made on my channel recently, I did take some vacation time from my full-time job, so that's why I haven't been doing any videos lately. So I'm gonna get back into the swing of things pretty shortly here. I got more videos planned out. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like and share it. Subscribe right here if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, take care.